Hey there, welcome back to Coaching Changes Lives. So glad you could join us this episode. Well, today we're going to discover one of the ICF core competencies known as designing of actions. Now, many coaches have asked me, say, hey, Jedi, how do we actually design actions for clients? Are we supposed to create action steps for the client? Are we supposed to give them a list of items to do? Are we supposed to give them a pros and cons? What are we supposed to do in the designing action process of the coaching conversation? Now, oftentimes, this is one of the most misunderstood competency, or oftentimes it's one of the most underutilized competencies in the entire coaching conversation. Now, very important for us to remember that coaching competencies are not steps. They are not things that, they're not a checklist for us to achieve. They are not also something that it's a do or die kind of situation. No. Understanding the competencies are like the foundational skills that all of us encompass as coach. Now, each of us are from different schools of thought. You may have different approaches in your coaching experience, in your coaching journey with your clients. However, one of the things that's underlying every single conversation are the competencies. So we talk about several competencies over the last several videos, and today I'm going to look at designing of actions. And what does that all entail? Now remember, in a coaching conversation, it has nothing to do with the coach. It's everything to do with the client. The coach role there, it's really to support the client in self-discovery and learning. And you are there to partner the client through a creative and thought-provoking process to inspire change and maximize potential. And that's what we're doing there, right? So I'm not going to give the client a list of items to do. I'm not giving them a set of homework to do, right? Because then my role then becomes like a mentor rather than a coach. Now, if you are looking for a mentor, a consultant, advisor, a teacher, great, there's a place for them. But the role of the coach really is to help you discover what are the steps you're going to take for yourself. Out of the discovery, out of the learnings, out of the revelation of the entire coaching journey, what has become clearer for you and what are you going to do immediately after the conversation? Now, you will often hear me say this, right? The last thing you want to do in the conversation, or maybe the last phase of the conversation, it's really about action design. The first phase of the conversation is really about discovery. Why is that so important? Because sometimes when we rush into the action planning, so for example, let's use a topic of losing weight. If you ask the client comes to you and say, "Hey, coach, can you help me with losing weight?" And too often as coaches, we want to rush into the how-to rather than who. So we are so quick at going to the how of things, but never understanding the what of things, the why of things, and the who of things. So we always begin the process first with discovering what is it that the client truly wants. The fundamental question in every single coaching conversation is this one question: what do you want? Right? So that is the question that we have been asking. Sometimes I call this the existential question of coaching conversation. What is it that you really want out of the conversation? So in the process of coaching the client, we're discovering what is it the client wants, peeling over the layers and unraveling what is it that they truly want to discover in the whole session. Now, out of that discovery, out of that aha, out of the eureka moment, now the client becomes clear. There's congruence, there's alignment. When alignment happens, action begins to follow. I give an example. When you realize what you need to do, when you realize what must happen for you, I don't have to ask you what's the next step you're going to do. You know what the next step's going to happen. So action is a byproduct of alignment. I say that again. Action is a byproduct of alignment. So that's what happens when you have action, right? So remember, the design of action is not so much about forcing action steps. It's not like a checklist at the end of the conversation. I must have step 1 to 10. What must you do? No, it's really about at the end of the conversation, out of the alignment, out of the learnings, out of the discovery, what is one thing that's going to be different for you? How are you going to change that? What's becoming clearer for you? So that's the whole journey of the design of action process, yeah? So we're going to look at some of the components. I'm going to give you some strategies, some thoughts, some ideas for you to help you become better in your design of actions. Now, again, I will always say this. You want to come back to revisit these videos again and again and again because it's going to be really helpful for you, yeah? So now, if you are new to our channel, also do remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to keep alert of all these exciting video contents. Now, if there are any other video contents you would love to hear, I would love to hear from you as well. So do post in our chat box below, our comment section, and leave us a comment and feedback so that we can help you better in your conversations. Now, this video is not just for coaches, it's for anyone who wants to get better at designing actions, wants to get better at action planning, action forwarding, and it's all about that. It's solution focused, it's results oriented, it's progress, it's performance based. Are you ready for that? Now, so let's take a look first at the definition of designing actions. What does ICF, or International Coaching Federation, defines designing action as? So let's take a look at this. Now, it defines as the ability to create with the client opportunities for ongoing learning during coaching and in work-life situations, and for taking new actions that will be the most effectively lead the agreed upon coaching results. So it's that ability to create with the client opportunities for ongoing learning. So you see, noticing the action steps that we even design, it's for ongoing learning. Now, if there's no learning, it's just about do, then we are just like in the meal chain, right? Just getting something done and that's it. Getting something done and that's it. Now, the secret of actually performance-based action step forwarding, it really has to do with each step of the way. What are we learning? What are we discovering? So that we don't do the same thing again and again with no changes. Now, we heard of this old adage where it says this, right? If you do the same thing again and again and again, that's like insanity. But we want to do the think and also reflect upon the thing that which we do and see how else can we better improve. How can we improve much better? How can we increase the efficiency, the efficacy of it? So that's going to be really important in the whole journey process of coaching. So let's take a look at some of the components of it. Now, I want to talk about 9 different areas today. 9 different areas that we're going to look at for design of actions, and that will help you get clarity about where and how to actually go about designing of actions. Now, let's take a look at this first. The first area we want to look at, it's what we call brainstorms, right? So brainstorms and assist the client to define actions that will enable the client to demonstrate, practice, and deepen new learnings. So this first layer of learnings, I would say, it's where we look at just opening up, right? Just giving the possibility for the client just to open up all the options and choices, not limiting them so fast. It's really just opening up, just creating that open space and opening up for the client. So what you want to do here is to brainstorm in the co-creative process without being directive. So you're not telling the client, this is what you should think about, that's what you should think about, just having open. Now, in the brainstorm process, you could use, like a mind map, you could use pros and cons, you can use benefit analysis, just really expanding. Don't limit it. If there's only one path, think about what else. Be creative about it, right? And exploring with the client and finding out what he, she, or they can do in bringing the learnings forward. So how do they bring the learnings from the session into the brainstorming? How do they bring the outcome or the expected outcome of the brainstorm future forward? Also, one of the things you want to do is expanding the client's exploration of the ideas and actions. So if the clients bring forth an idea, explore a little bit with them. Go a little bit deeper. Right, explore what are some options available to them, and why would these options be useful and effective for them. Explore with them. Next thing, the second thing we want to look at is helping the client to focus on and systematically explore specific concerns and opportunities that are central to the agreed upon coaching goals. So here, it's really about going through the process of, let's say the client lists 10 different brainstorm ideas. You want to then begin to explore the opportunities and concerns for each one of them. And then you want to work out, how do we prioritize? How do we actually systemize this? You know, if you have 10 different steps, there must be a way for us to figure which one to go first. There must be a way for us to figure out how do we navigate through all these 10 different components? How do we classify them? How do we categorize them? How do we actually use them? So this is going to be very important, right? So the coach is focused on clients' concerns and opportunities instead of imposing the coach's concerns on them. So it's really about the client's concern, remember? Now, sometimes when we hear the list of options and actions, we are concerned for the clients and we want to do something for the client, which is great. But if we do that, we are imposing on the client rather than allowing the client to explore for themselves. Again, so this is something that that I teach in Mastering Coaching. So one of our signature programs, if you have ever been to our program before, I talk about this a design action table where we list how do we prioritize, how do we actualize that. If you want to learn more about it, just leave me a comment below and I could create a video for all of us here to share with you guys how to actually use the action table design, right? So now I would encourage you, if you're thinking about joining a coaching program, coaching certification program to level up your skills, Mastering Coaching is one of the fantastic programs for you to re-attend. And also for those of you thinking about leveling up to the next level for PCC, MCC, we also have programs for that. And one of our popular programs is Team Leadership Performance Coaching. In Team Leadership Performance Coaching, that's when I also go deeper into this portion of design of actions. How do we create actions that increases the performance of your team members? Okay. Now let's look at the third area. The third area, it's about what must we engage with the client to explore alternative ideas and solutions, to evaluate options, and to make related decisions. So I like to see this as like an action matrix. So on the y-axis is the impact, on the x-axis is the effort. So if you have low effort, low impact, it's just fill-ins, right? Just empty slots to fill in. But if you have high effort, low impact, it's just task that nobody really cares so much about. It's just thankless tasks. So sometimes we put so much effort in things that has low impact, or we thought that would be a useful action, but actually it doesn't really do much things. So another thing we'll look at as well is high effort, no, low effort but high impact. That's a quick win. So sometimes I would always encourage clients, even if it's low effort, go for the quick wins first. Why? Because with the quick wins will give us an ability, a chance for us to say, hey, we're moving forward, we're getting the ball rolling, we are moving, there's a momentum, that's something that's coming along with us, which is fantastic. The momentum is going to be very useful for you as we do this quick wins, yeah? Then, of course, what we really want, it's high impact, high effort. That is the major projects that we face. So sometimes one of the great fears that many of our clients have, it's about how do we get that major project done? How do we get that new level of baser performance done? Well, really, it's to have that small wins first and then push forward the major project. So when we hear the clients, all the action steps, what is it that are the quick wins? What is it that they can do and work on systematically to help them to achieve the bigger picture? Now, of course, those small items, low impact, low effort, is it useful? Is it not useful? Well, it really depends on the client, right? What helps the client move forward will be the key. The next consideration for us to think about is promoting active experimentation and discovery, where the client applies what has been discussed and learned during the sessions immediately afterward in his or her or their work in live setting. So I would say this, right? It's not about just designing actions and then just leave the client as it is. What is something that right away, right after this call? So if you're watching this video, what is one thing you're going to do right after this video that's going to be different? Now, all my videos are created in a way that is action-based. So I don't want you to just watch the video, just watching a video as an entertainment. I truly believe the power of video is not about entertainment, it's about action, right? So if you watch this video and you have a compelling force to take an action, I want you to commit yourself to what's one thing you're going to do right after this video that you watch that's going to be different for you in your conversations, in your coaching, your leadership. What's one thing that's going to be different for you? Put it down, right? Write it down and then commit yourself to doing that right after this conversation. So it's about giving the client space to experiment and discover more by themselves, understand where they are in the session. So it's really about that insatiable, just openness, just freely to explore every single notions of it, not limiting, just opening, and just be free to just create a safe space for the client. Now, the next thing for us to consider is celebrating the client's success and capabilities for future growth. So it's about able to see the greatness within our clients and celebrate his or their or her successes and wins and learnings. So along the journey, the thing about us as human beings is that it's important to celebrate success, right? It's important to celebrate success. And why is that important? Because in the journey, sometimes the effort we put in sometimes can be quite tiring. It can be quite daunting, and sometimes if we go through life with no encouragement, no celebration, and that will all often impede us. That would often make us feel a little bit down, make us feel a little bit that nothing's really moving for us. So what we must really know is how do we move forward? How do we create the momentum for success? How do we celebrate for the clients? So sometimes it's just about acknowledging them. Say, hey, that's quite a from the last session that I see you to now, I can see quite a great progress, quite a big difference. And how has it been for you so far? That is celebrating the process. Really good. Now, the next area, it's challenge the client's assumption and perspective to provoke new ideas and find new possibilities for action. That's wonderful. What are some areas to provoke their ideas and to find new possibilities? So sometimes when the client says certain action, I may want to challenge assumptions. Not all of them, but sometimes when you hear based on the congruence within the client, I may want to highlight some congruence with the client and say, hey, what I'm hearing, there's a little bit of hesitation over there. Let's peel open. Let's unravel that. Let's go deeper in that, right? So listening out to the client's hidden assumptions, perspective, design actions around that. Are there any limiting beliefs that we're hearing, preventing them from creating certain actions? What frames do our clients have? Coach is comfortable to challenge your clients to think of new possibilities. Okay, so that's about challenging that assumption and perspective. I would encourage you to do that with your clients. The next area is to advocate or bring forward points of view that are aligned to the client's goal without attachment, and engage the client to consider them. So sometimes one of the things that I encourage coaches to do, rather other than just drawing from the client, is that you can ask the client for permission to share other points of view. So sometimes our clients may be limited to certain points of view. So what you want to do there is to, hey, Mr. Client, is it okay if I share with you some thoughts? Is it okay if I just pause you there for a while to just explore some other areas? These are some thoughts that I have. What do you think? Okay, so allow that space for the client to explore some of your thoughts, some of your ideas that is aligned to their goals. Now, we're not going to share something that is totally out, right? We want to share something that's aligned to their goals and to help them see further. If that point works for them, great, move in that direction. The next one, it's help the client to do it now during the coaching session, providing immediate support. What can our client do immediately during the session or after the session? So sometimes it can be right now. What is one thing that you're going to change for yourself? Or what's one mindset you can change about yourself? What is one thought that's going to be different? So that responsibility of client by putting actions forward into work immediately. That's the key, right? Putting actions forward into actions immediately, right? Providing the space for our client as well. So that do it now. What is one thing that you can do it now, right now? That is going to be an important process for the client. So what I always encourage coaches to do and conversationalists to do is that as leaders, we want to say, hey, what's one thing that we can do right now following from this? Not something that you can do too late, right? But in the session that we can do right now even, right? So maybe it's a mindset shift, maybe something else that change. What's one thing we can do right now? The next area, which is the ninth area, it's encourage stretch and challenges, but also a comfortable pace of learning. So sometimes we encourage the clients and we be aware of the learning style of the client. And by that, we navigate through the client and also challenge them in the pace of learning, their growth. And sometimes it's about stretching them, but not overstretching them. Give them a space enough to stretch, but not too much, so that it gives them the freedom to say, hey, okay, the coach is actually there to help me and support me. And that is really wonderful. Okay, so there you have it, the 9 strategies for designing actions. And I hope this has really helped you to get some insights. And I will encourage you, right? Don't take this video as another YouTube video where you watch, but take it as something that is an action that you can take. What is one thing you can do different? Post them in the comment section below. What's one action that's going to change your coaching conversation? And come back again to this video and rewatch them again and list down the second thing you can do that's going to be different for you today. Now, I want to leave you with this final word that I love to tell all my coaches and every single family of leaders as well as influencers around the world and speakers as well. I tell them one thing, it's true. Now, this is the quote that I'd like to give them. An ongoing learning, actions that create momentum and a rhythmic cadence for success and progress will be the key ingredient to help your clients to forward their motion. Now, remember this is like a flywheel effect. That momentum is going to be key, and that ongoing learning is going to reinforce that momentum. So it's going to give them a success factor. It's going to make them feel good that they're moving in the right direction. So hope this session has been useful for you. If you like what you hear, do remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. If you like more of such videos, do remember to check out our other videos as well in our playlist. And if you want me to cover some videos or reaction videos, just let me know in the comment section as well. What are some videos you'd like to see? Until next time, this is Coaching Changes Life. I'm Jedi here. See you again.